Today we're going to address a question that was submitted, and the heading of the question is, how do I let go of past failures and move forward? And the questioner writes, I failed a couple of times in my professional career, but now I have a pretty good job. I'm still haunted by past failures, and I don't want that to affect my present. How do I remove the freeze and move forward? It's a very good question, and it has an answer that on the one hand is simple, and on the other hand is hard to put into practice. It takes practice to put it into practice because we're not used to thinking in this way, but it can completely change our life if we can learn how to approach problems differently. And in this case here, you're making the comment, I'm still haunted by past failures. The key to moving on is to live our lives, and this is difficult to do, it takes practice, to live our lives in this present moment, in this now, as Eckhart Tolle would say, living in the now. Now, why is that important? If we live our life in this present moment and deal with the factors that are affecting us at this moment, we'll have to agree that there aren't that many things that are affecting this present moment. Most of the things that we believe trouble us are things that have happened in the past, or things that are but that might possibly happen in the future. They're not things that are happening. They're things that we're recalling or we're anticipating, but they're not happening in this moment. And if we focus more and practice focusing more on this moment, we'll find that there's not very much for us to concern ourselves about in this very moment. And in this case here, this young man says, I'm still haunted by past failures. Now, as Dr. William Glasser, the late Dr. Glasser, would say, he used to say when someone, for example, was depressed, he always turned it into a verb and would say, why are you choosing to depress? Many times people worry or are depressed and discouraged, and they think it's outside forces coming to bear on them and they have no choice. And Dr. Glasser would make the point that yes, you are choosing. Just as this person is, I'm still haunted by past failures. You're haunted by past failures because you're choosing to think about them. And it doesn't mean that you should pretend like you don't have a past. It doesn't mean that you should try to whitewash everything that's happened. But it means that you should stop choosing to think about them. Let me give you an example. And this is a timely one because it happened just the other day. My wife and I made a purchase into the thousands of dollars on a piece of recreational equipment that we were looking forward to using. Well, within 24 hours of having bought it and paid cash, we realized it was a mistake. We'd made a mistake. Well, you know, we could have thought about it and gotten angry, why did this happen to us? It must be someone's fault. The world shouldn't be like this. I can't believe I did it. I could have beaten myself up. Why wasn't I more thorough in reviewing the situation before we spent the money? I could have went on and on. The point is that none of that has any bearing on what is, what's happening in the now. And what is in the now, in this example, is that we have a piece of equipment that we really can't use. It doesn't work for us. That's all we have. My wishing that I would have done something different, or blaming someone else, or being angry about it is completely irrelevant and a waste of time. And it really messes up your quality life if you choose to worry and fret and depress about something that's happened. We have a situation where we have a piece of equipment, and in the now, we have to decide what we're going to do with it. And we'll probably sell it. And that's what we'll do. And so that's the now. We're in the process of selling this piece of equipment, and then we'll buy something more appropriate to fit our needs. But the now is that we have this piece of equipment, we've spent the money, that's gone. But what can we do now? So we focus on the now. Don't blame, don't criticize, don't accuse. Just say, we have this situation. With this young man, you should focus on your job. You have a job now that you say is a pretty good job. Focus on where you live. Focus on your friends. Focus on your apartment. Focus on what's happening now. And it's not about pretending that the past didn't happen. Mistakes were made, failures occurred, whatever those were. Okay, they happened, so what? Really, at this point, so what? Focus on your job right now and look for ways to enjoy your job. And if you don't really enjoy it, then look for ways to get a different job, or to change your job, or change the people that you work with. Those are all things in the now. But what's happened in your past, the failures, it doesn't do any good. It's not productive to spend time worrying about things that might happen, and it's certainly not productive to worry about past failures. They happened. Just like we made a mistake when we purchased this piece of recreational equipment. Okay. What are we going to do now? And it takes the anger, it takes the need to blame, to project our emotions on someone else, because we're just dealing with what is. And again, when we look at what is in this moment, it tends almost all of the time to be not that terrible, this moment. But if we start attaching values to it, and we start thinking about what happened in the past and in the future, that's where most of our anguish and anxiety comes from. So to answer this young man about how do I remove the freeze and move forward, you remove it by forgetting the past for all practical purposes. Yes, it happened. It's not a thing about denial. It's not putting a happy face on it and saying it was really happy, and tell yourself that over and over. It's about saying, well, okay, it did happen, but that was yesterday. That was last year. Today, what do I do now? And the great thing about life is every day, every moment, you get to decide all over again how your life is going to go, how you want your life to go. You get to decide that. Most of us don't get that. Most of us blow right by that immense freedom and power and say, well, yes, but last year was a lousy year, and so on and so forth. And we let the power of this moment go. We let the power to make new choices go because we're focused on what I wish I wouldn't have done that, and I wish they wouldn't have done that. All of those things are not productive. And to worry about what might happen next year is quite frankly not productive. Make your plan. Come up with a plan for your life, what you want to do, and start putting that plan into place. That's how you address the future. But just to sit and worry about what if this happens, or the sky falls in, or so and so, what if the place where I work, they go belly up? Well, make the plans you can now in this moment, and don't Don't fret so much about things. Remove the freeze by letting the past go, accepting that what happened, happened. And the question you should ask yourself now is, what do I do now? What do I want to do now? What do I need to do now? And deal with that in this small time frame, and things will be fine. Let the past go and focus on this moment and make it as wonderful as you possibly can, and move toward the goals that are important to you.